If you can make it better, that's cool, but if you can't, here's what you're going to do.
Give them a blueprint to start with so they know where you're coming.
It sounds kind of cruel, and
but someone has to lead.
There's a thing here that says avoiding common pitfalls. Okay, you do have to balance. It's really tough because you have to balance getting what you want versus how the rest of the band feels about it and about you. You know, if you go in and you're just a fucking dictator, and you know, in my 20s, I was guilty of that. You know, I was like, this is what's going to happen, and you know, you're either with me or you're not. You know, and you can really, you know, you can lose a lot of friendships that way. Friendships that might be valuable to you later on. So you got to be careful. You know, it's a trade-off.
Because, like I was saying, when the band is over or when someone's out of the band, the friendship ends. In general, generally speaking, very few people can make that last beyond that kind of a split.
Well, I've been in bands with a lot of, you know, Nazi-like band leaders, and you know, you have like a business sort of relationship with them. Some of them I'm still friends with, but those are the bands that are the most successful, that have a guy with vision, a guy that knows what he wants, and you know, as long as you're not doing anybody any favors by not cooperating with a guy that has a shit together.
It really is a lot like working for Steve Jobs. You know, Jobs is a dick, but he gets the job done.
Right.
You know, and he has a clear vision, and he knows what he wants his product to look like.
But you know,
somebody has to be that guy.
But whether it's the bass player or, you know, I've actually had things in original projects where you're writing the music, and you're presenting it to a singer, okay? And the singer, you know, there are singers who write lyrics, there are singers who don't write lyrics, there are singers who have a great inherent voice but don't know what the hell they're doing with it because they haven't been doing it very long,
right?
Or they don't know how to sing anything that isn't a cover. They can kill on a cover. But you hand them something new, and they don't know how to do anything with it because they're green, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, you're picking up your guitar and you're playing melody lines for them, and you're saying, "Here, you sing this melody," and you have to play out the melody for them. And you can do the same thing with a bass line. If you hear it and they're not coming up with the right thing, you better be able to, at least on a guitar, if not a bass, play the notes you want them to play and give them a tape or something to learn, and say, "Okay, go sing this or go play that," and you can do it that way.
Well, trying to do originals like that is definitely twice as much work as...
It is, but we're talking about people who are starting out. Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're talking about 10-year vets who've been playing for a long time and know what they're doing on their instrument, whether it's their voice or their instrument. But, you know, there are times where, you know, we've all had these situations where you go and you play with people and you click.
Yeah.
Okay? And you don't have to tell them what to play. And they know what to play, and you're grooving on it, and it's good. And it's like, you know, if you're in a band with those people, that's cool. But a lot of the times, you know, you will find, and especially it's true with younger players, they don't know what to play. Or, you know, one person has a clearer idea of what should be being played. And, you know, if you come up with someone who you can't work with, you know, you can spend a little time trying.
Yeah, but don't
spend a lot of time trying.
And that's probably got to be the biggest. Well, Joey's the only bass player I know, so we're just gonna.
Or you know, this guy's a friend of mine.
Or you know, the drummer's the one that's got the rehearsal space, so we don't even have a place to rehearse unless we have him. And I can remember being a kid and being like those were the issues.
Yeah, you don't want to be in those situations.
Let's talk a little bit about our first bands. I mean, because if we go back that far, I was 16. I started my band in high school. 16 or 17. My buddy was in the band with me, my best friend. I talked him into playing. He didn't have a natural talent for it, but he learned a little bit along the way. And we found this.
He doesn't see this.
No, he knows. He gave up like 2 years later.
Yeah.
And
it's just,
you know, it wasn't in his blood.
Right.
He liked the idea for a time, and he did it for a time, and he took lessons, and he did okay for a high school band when you're that age. And it wasn't in his blood. We found a drummer who was a 15-year-old all-state jazz drummer. This kid was killer. And he's like a drum professor out here in California now, and he teaches in a college out here. I'm not in touch with him, but I saw that's where he ended up. And it was in his blood, and he was killer at 15. And we had a girl singer. We'll get to that in a minute. But I had to drag that band along, kicking and screaming. Being the one who wanted it more, was probably the most inherently musical. And you know, it lasted for basically a school year and a half until it disintegrated around the chick singer.
Surprise.
Surprise! But you know, the way it goes is, you know, you start in somebody's basement, you're having fun. You're learning how to play, you're learning how to play with other people. And for a lot of, for your formative years, that should be enough.
Yes.
Try and play the gigs that you can get at that age. They're, you know, school battle of the bands kinds of things.
Right.
And you know,
Parties.
maybe parties, exactly.
That's a great one.
Work
Parties
for
is
Van Halen,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
What's your first one?
On mine?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of just kicked around in a bunch of different crappy, you know, I'd play with a band for a couple weeks and you know, it wouldn't be what I heard in my head, you know. I'd be like, no.
You didn't start your own at first, you joined another one.
I joined up bands, and you know, I just kept thinking, okay, you know, I hear it here and we're here, you know, and I pretty quickly figured out that those guys weren't going to get there, so I'd leave. And that went on for a while.
You're basically playing covers at first.
But you know, the first band I started was Lochinvar.
How old were you?
23.
That's actually several years in. When you started playing a long time before.
But I never really did anything serious before that. It was all just, you know,
Well, we're not talking about serious.
high school talent show stuff, and you know, but nothing. Onesie twosies, you know, one-off things. Put a band together, you know, a bunch of friends, and one-off something, and that would be it.
Yeah.
I never had a real long-term thing. It was kind of coming from the same pool of people.
Right.
But we were all in the band together, you know, high school band together. But you know, I could never hold them together very long because the drummer was always more interested.
You're not going to hold your high school band or your first band together very long.
Right.
And that's a sad truth, but you know.
You just got to keep on going.
Keep going, and you realize it's like, you know.
And a lot of those people
Your first girl or your first
a lot of those
car or
people
whatever
are
it is,
gonna
ain't your
fall.
last.
Yeah, you're going to have more.
They're going to fall by the wayside. They're not going to be, you know, like the guys that I'm thinking of. You know, one of them's a pretty good drummer, but he's not doing it anymore.
Yeah,
he still has his drum set. But
You're going to
you know.
find that people at that age, in their early to mid-teens, some of them are committed for the long haul, and a lot of them are not.
I remember being heartbroken. I mean, literally crying when my first real band broke up. Like when I was 15, I was playing with guys in their 20s and stuff. So I was like the kid, and I was good enough to play with them, and so I was fortunate in that respect. I mean, everybody starts off playing, taking care of business, and just essentially just jamming for nothing. The whole band thing is